Look at this date. Best by, used by, sell by, expires on, best before. So many options. We treat these stamped numbers like divine law. If the clock strikes midnight on the day printed on this pasta, for example, we act as if it instantly transforms from food into poison. We throw it in the bin. But what if I told you that this behavior is costing consumers in the US alone an estimated $7 billion every single year? What if I told you that, scientifically speaking, most of these dates have absolutely nothing to do with food safety? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tassos Koidis, academic at Queen's University Belfast. In this channel, we do explainers, breaking down complex food and nutrition concepts and the culture of food. If this is up your alley, give us a like and subscribe to keep us going. Today we are deconstructing one of the most pervasive myths in the food industry, the expiration day or the expiry date. We are going to move beyond the simple headlines. We are going to look at the microbiology of spoilage, bacteria versus pathogenicity, a little bit of the chemistry of rancidity, and the chaos of regulatory politics that often incentivize waste over sustainability. It's time to stop fearing your fridge and start trusting the science and your senses. Let's start with the legal framework around expiry dates. It is a common assumption that these dates are calculated by government scientists in white lab coats, determining the precise moment a product becomes unsafe. But this is false. In Europe and the UK, food packaging must use either a use-by date for highly perishable items. This is a safety critical. The food must not be eaten after that day. Or best before date. For longer-lasting foodstuff, this is a quality-based recommendation. These foods are still safe, but taste or texture may decline. In the US, with the sole exception of infant formula, the federal government does not require or regulate expiration dates. There are no standardized definitions at all. So date labels that you see in packages such as best if used by, or best by, or sell by, or used by are voluntary and they are industry-led. Different language may be used across different food sectors, which is also very confusing. Instead, there is a chaotic patchwork of U8 state laws. For example, one state law required milk to be sold within 12 days of pasteurization. Is milk unsafe on day 13? Scientifically, absolutely not. Modern pasteurization and cold chain logistics allow milk to last longer. But the law forced retailers to just dump thousands of gallons of perfectly good milk, driving prices up and creating waste purely based on arbitrary all-purpose legislation, which may benefit more the industry than your wallet or your health. So if the government isn't setting these dates for safety, then who is? The manufacturers, obviously, the food industry itself. And their motivation is not necessarily your health, it is their sales. To understand why we waste so much food, we must distinguish between two concepts, the quality and the safety of foods. In food microbiology, these are often two completely different biological processes happening to fresh food during storage. And this is the most critical, maybe scientific concept for today's video. Pathogenic bacteria versus spoilage bacteria. So spoilage bacteria, like Pseudomonas or lactic acid bacteria, they are the ones that make food smell bad, taste sour, or get slimy. They degrade the food texture and the food flavor. Generally speaking, spoilage bacteria do not make you sick. If you accidentally drink sour milk, you might gag, you might, don't like it, but you're not going to end up in the emergency room. Spoilage bacteria are connected with quality deterioration in foods. But pathogenic bacteria, like Salmonella, like E. coli, like Campylobacter, they're a different story. These are the ones that cause serious foodborne illnesses in people. They are silent, they are odorless, and they are invisible. Pathogens are connected, remember, with food safety, not food quality, food safety. Most expiration dates, specifically the best by dates, are predicting when spoilage bacteria, read quality, will affect the taste, not when the food will undergo chemical changes. They are not predicting when pathogens will appear. so they're not predicting where safety is going to be compromised. Manufacturers in some products use the best by expiry days to protect their own reputation. They don't want you eating a stale cookie or a slightly oxidized nut and thinking, wow, this brand is horrible, it tastes so bad. So they set up the date conservatively. They want you to eat it at peak quality or throw it away and buy a new one. Scientifically, what happens when best by day passes? For shelf-stable foods, pasta, canned goods, cereal balls, cracker, oil, the risk is chemical, not biological. We are talking about lipid oxidation here that compromises quality. Take old almonds or walnuts. Over time, the unsaturated fatty acids in the nuts react with oxidation. This creates compounds like aldehydes and ketones, which give off that rancid, paint thinner smell. Is it tasty? No. It smells old, but is it toxic? Absolutely not. So food lipids degrade, and I'm sure you noticed it when you open an old pack of biscuits you forgot last Christmas. Stainless, rancidity, it hits your nose. But eating a stale cookie is not a safety hazard. It is a sensory disappointment. That's a huge difference. However, there is a category where you must respect the date. And this is where the anti-waste, pro-sustainability movement sometimes gets it wrong. We need to talk about Listeria monocytogenes, the deadly bug. While I'm critical of the nanny-state approach to dry goods with regards to the industry and the regulations, I am very, very strict and deadly serious about ready-to-eat refrigerated foods. These are daily meats, unpasteurized cheeses, refrigerated smoked seafood, salmon. Unlike most bacteria, Listeria is psychrotrophic. It can grow at refrigerated temperatures. This bug actually maybe thrives in cold temperatures. A package of turkey slices might look fine, smell fine, and taste fine, but if this is past its day and has been open for a while, for weeks, it could harbor infectious levels of Listeria. This is particularly dangerous for pregnant women, the elderly, the children, and the immunocompromised. In this specific instance, the use-by date printed on the label is a gospel, is a safety boundary derived from predictive microbiology models from experiments that should never be crossed. And just to give you an example of how serious this is taken in the legislation of Listeria, the EU has adopted a zero-tolerance policy in baby food. So not even a viable cell of Listeria can be present in 25 grams of baby food. This brings us to the societal problem. We have somehow lost our connection with our food. We have given up our survival instinct of using our senses and replaced them with trusting numbers on a printed food label. For 99% of the human history, we used organoleptic, the sensory evaluation, the sight, the smell, the taste, the flavor to determine if a food was safe. Now we are terrified to trust our own noses. The industry passively or actively benefits from this fear, mind you. If you throw away a yogurt on the 15th of December because the label says so, even though it is perfectly fine, you have to buy another one. One can say it is a circle of consumption driven by regulatory ambiguity. In the US, voices such as the Refeed, a non-profit dedicated to ending food waste, argues that standardizing these labels, it's a must for sustainability. Why it isn't implemented? Well, it's not that simple. Maybe because confusion is profitable for some, maybe because the status quo is convenient for others and it's difficult to change. But there's another thing we have to talk about, and this is the fear of liability. If the government mandates a best buy label on milk and one person leaves their milk in a hot car, then drinks it, then gets a tummy ache, and then sues, the backlash is immediate for the dairy industry and ultimately for the government. It is maybe safer for regulators to keep the regulations as they are than to step in and educate the public on the nuance of microbiology. But the cost of this is astronomical. We are dumping 3 billion pounds of foods annually. And I want to argue that most of it, some of it is unavoidable because it's because of quality issues rather than safety issues that these foods suffer in combination with their expiry day before they end up in the bin. And that is water, Energy, labor, and land, all wasted. In a world facing climate crisis and food insecurity, this is ethically indefensible, to be fair. What is the academic insight here? How can you apply this to your daily life? First, learn to calibrate your senses. Acidic dairy, so yogurt, sour cream, the pH is relatively low, making it hostile for most of pathogenic bacteria. If there is no visible external mold and it smells okay, it smells fine, it is likely fine weeks after the past date. For eggs, the float test is physics, it's not magic. If an egg ages, the air shell expands, moisture and CO2 escape, and normal air comes in. I was teaching that to our level 1 students the other day. If it floats, it's old. Cook it thoroughly or toss it away. For meat, slime nest on the surface or an off odor are signs of spoilage bacteria. Trust that instinct immediately. Second, ignore dates on shelf-stable goods. Canned goods are saved indefinitely as long as the seal of the can is intact. The date on the can of the beans is purely about texture and vitamin degradation, not really a safety issue. Third, recognize the safety theater, the dynamics. Understand that the current system is designed to protect corporate liability, to allow the industry to self-regulate, and it's not really for your health or for the planet. We need to stop viewing expiration dates for some foods, here is where education matters, as a kill switch, and start viewing them as a freshness guarantee issue. And we need to know which foods are not in this category. Remember, the ready-to-eat foods. The solution isn't just better food regulations. The solution lies in consumer education. We need to stop being passive consumers who blindly obey a food label and become more active participants in our own food system. We need to reclaim the confidence to say, well, this milk smells fine, and pour a glass. It's good for your wallet, it's essential for the planet, and frankly, it's just better science. Thanks for watching. If you want more support, evidence-based nutrition and food, honest politics, food and science topics, hit that like button and subscribe to help me going. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And if you have any stories, what's your oldest food that you ever have tried before? Thanks very much. Drop the comments down below. See you in the next video. Bye!